Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good whatever time of day it is, wherever you are right now. Thank you for tuning in to the Conversations with Dr. Don show. The show is produced and broadcast from Portland, Oregon, USA. And for your first-time viewers, Conversations with Dr. Don is an ongoing series of 1 hour standalone talk shows where I interview interesting people like most of you out there about who they are as unique, one-of-a-kind individuals and about what we've decided to talk about this evening. And we'll be talking about Club Impact, a social club for adults with disabilities. Club Impact, a social club for adults with disabilities. And my guest this evening is RalprGilliam. RalprGilliam. And I met him at the health club here in Portland, and we got talking about all sorts of other things, and it turns out what he's involved with is this Club Impact and what it's about and how profound and how important it is. I hadn't heard about it before. So we'll be talking about that after we get through the first half of the show where I interview you about who you are personally. Okay. So the viewers have an idea where you're coming from, where they get an idea why it is you're involved in Club Impact and all the other stuff involved. Okay. So how are you feeling right now?
A little nervous, but pretty good, really.
You're as nervous as I am. Welcome.
Thank you.
What a big hand.
Nice to be here.
Yeah, good. You're all right. So, let's start off with the bio. And if I were to ask your best friend, who is Ralph? What would your best friend say? Be your best friend. Ralph is?
Wow. Ralph is a pretty good worker. He's pretty diligent with things that he does. He has things that he wants to do, and he's pretty good at doing the things that he's focused on, like the Club Impact thing. And then I have another area that I really wanted to do when I retired, and that was to make stuff, sculpture and furniture. So I was able to figure out, with help of my wife, how to buy a studio, a building. We rent out a house, and there's a studio on the property that I use myself.
And you're an artist also?
Yeah, a sculptor and a furniture maker. And so I wanted to do that, and I wanted to start Club Impact.
Okay, we'll get into that.
And I feel so fortunate that I've been able to do both, that God's allowed me to do that.
Yeah. When and where were you born?
I was born right here in Portland in 1945 at the Seventh-day Adventist Hospital on Southeast 60th and Belmont, which the building's still there, but it's no longer that.
What is it now?
I don't know. I kind of forgot.
Okay.
Yeah.
Why were you born?
Wow. You didn't tell me.
Just stop you right away, huh?
Trick questions.
Of course.
Why was I born?
1 or 2 during the interview.
Well, I believe that we're all here for a purpose.
Agreed.
And I believe that God gave me a purpose for being here. And I've already talked about 2 of those, and another one is my family is very important to me, my wife and my daughters and my grandchildren. And so all those things really keep me going.
Anything significant about your racial or national or cultural heritage, or you're just plain American white bread?
I can trace my lineage on my mother's side back to the 13th century.
Wow.
Yeah, English. I didn't do that. And my father's not that far, but my father was raised in Kansas, and in his adolescence went through the Dust Bowl and came out to Oregon with his brother. And he met my mother here in Portland. And they raised us in Portland. They're pretty conservative Christian folks, fundamentalists. So I grew up in a church like that. And I have two brothers, and I think it did well by us. And none of us go to that same church, but all three of us are have strong faith in God, and that's an important part of my life. And I've connected to the Quaker Church and had some great experiences there.
Yes.
And a few other churches as well.
All right. So you have a religious preference today, and I think you mentioned that a moment ago. Your religious preference today in your life. Quaker?
Yeah. Quaker in the past. It's been maybe 10 years since we were in the Quaker Church. We go to Imago Dei Church now, which Imago Dei has adopted Club Impact as they call it. We got a missional grant through that church, so they're supporting us financially, and I'm pretty proud of that. Even though we're not preachy, or we don't talk about God at Club Impact overtly, and we're not required to do that, and still they support us and see a lot of value in it, and that's the way I look at it too.
How do you spell Imago Dei?
Yeah, Imago Dei, which means in the image of God in Spanish. So Imago is IMAGO, and Dei, DEI. So yeah, the thinking is we're all made in the image of God, that He loved us that much that He created us in His image.
I'm a humanist.
I know.
And I was born a Roman Catholic altar boy and all that kind of stuff, and I moved on beyond that and got in between, and for some years now I've been a humanist, but a real humanist embraces the religious convictions and beliefs of other human beings. That's the first requirement. So when I say that, I don't just pay lip service to it. I mean it. And your belief in God and the hereafter and those sorts of things, I respect that. That's in case there is one. Never mind.
Okay.
I'm a skeptic.
Yeah, and that's fine with me. When I met you at the health club, and we had some conversations, and I was pretty impressed with you, especially after I saw your card, and it said that you were a humanist. And I told myself more than once since then that I wish some of my Christian friends had as much to give their brothers and sisters here as you do. You have a lot to offer, and I think you're an example for us.
I think I got that from Mama. I'm the 12th child, yeah.
Really?
I'm the last of the Mohicans, yeah.
The 12th?
The 12th.
Wow.
And it's pretty close, but it's a while yet before I'm going to depart the earth. And I don't know whether I'm going to go up or down or whatever. But anyhow, your formal education, I have some paperwork about that, but let's talk about it.
Okay. Well, great. I loved my early childhood and growing up and going to school, grade school. High school was hard for me in a number of ways. Socially, it was hard. I never felt like I fit in that well. I
I feel the same way.
And academically, it was hard. I really was afraid to make mistakes and afraid that if I tried hard and failed, that would look bad, that kind of thinking. And counselors these days in schools are pretty good at recognizing that. I think back in the day when I went to school, and probably you too, it wasn't that much of a consideration. So those experiences, I think, had an influence on my direction later in life. I was a special ed teacher, but I went to Portland State University, was really, the first time around, was fortunate to graduate. I wasn't that good of a student, but I was in a subject area that I really liked. I liked art. I liked sculpture. So I have a bachelor's degree in fine arts in sculpture, and then I went back. That's from 1970. My wife influenced me a lot. I felt like I wanted to make a career change a little later. And after being in the furniture industry for quite a while, decided to go back to school, PSU. And I got a master's in education and in special ed. I shocked myself. I was a perfect straight A student. It's like two different people.
Yes.
Yeah. So
found your niche.
Yeah, I did. And also my attitude about school and why I was there and what I was doing was entirely different than it was the first time around. And my confidence was way better, way higher.
You're fairly confident nowadays?
Yeah. My wife influenced me to work with special populations. So that's a buzzword for special ed.
Mm-hmm.
So I decided to become a special ed teacher. And so that was my second career. And at the time of my retirement, I was retiring from special ed, working in a post-high school program designed for students 18 to 21. If you are identified as having a disability during your school years and you leave high school without a diploma, you're eligible to get services until you're 21.
Mm-hmm.
So that was the area that I most enjoyed working in, is working with those older students, helping them figure out what am I going to do, and pretty challenging, with different kinds of limitations. And
you see some success in the work and the teaching that you do?
Yeah, yes, I do. And one thing that I thought was really missing from the transition programs is what we called it, 18 to 21-year-old, post-high school. The thing I thought was missing from the post-high school experience for that age group was a continuation of social life once they leave the school program.
It's something more than just school, it's social life too.
Right. Well, a big value that they got in the program was the social part of it. And when students would come back and visit me after they left the program, I could see that they didn't have anything now that they were gone. And they really need that. Maybe they were getting some help getting a job. They're probably eligible to get help with other kinds of skill training, like independent living, how to get an apartment, how to manage money, a lot of stuff like that. but the social skill, the social aspects, a lot of times were missing. So before I retired, I just felt like that was my calling, so to speak, was to do that after I retired. So I collected names and addresses, demographic information for all the students that I worked with, and I had all that information when I was ready to start the club. So, and it worked.
But interesting in that I'm guessing that what you're doing now is you're sort of reliving that period in your life when you were unsure about what's going on.
Yeah.
And
well, yeah, you're the psychologist. I knew you'd see that. I've thought of that too. That, I had such a difficult time in high school and even starting in junior high school. Just feeling like I didn't fit in, and wanting help with that, but not getting it, and so I could see that in my students, in special needs students. They're not really good at initiating social things, so.
As I'm listening to you, this part of your conversation reminds me of my own childhood.
Really?
And growing up, yeah. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't until many years later when I went to the military that I discovered that I could think, and I was beyond my capability because I was bored stiff in elementary school, and I dropped out of junior high school because it was just so boring. But then I found out that I was a little smarter than the average bear when I thought I was two standard deviations below the average bear in elementary school and junior high, so to speak. Mm-hmm. But I went back to school, and I'm still back in school, so to speak, forever and ever until I ended up this time with a PhD in clinical psychology, in addition to trying out other majors and other interests.
You did? What were your other areas of exploration in school?
Well, we've only got an hour in the show because it would take too long to go into it. I became an electrical contractor and a whole bunch of other stuff.
Really?
Yeah,
okay.
and law school for the first year and a bunch of other stuff. And
okay.
So this calls me back to my own experiences, and I wish I would have had the kind of human being that you are during that period in my life, because it wasn't coming from my family or my life and depression kid and a whole bunch of other stuff. Mm-hmm. Like I said, if we had 3 more hours, I'd tell you some more about myself, but that's
okay.
Okay, and your life now is dedicated to what you're doing with Club Impact.
Well, I would 3 or 4 areas. Club Impact is a big one.
Yes, of course.
And the furniture and art, although that's kind of taken a back seat. I'm not doing as much there as I would like to, and of course my family. Mm-hmm.
And you mentioned a couple of times in the past your wife. Mm-hmm. I usually have a standard question I ask my guests. You have a partner, a boyfriend, a girlfriend, a husband, but we don't have to ask you that because you've got a wife. You're pretty well settled.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So, you have any children or grandchildren or any of those kinds of things?
Yeah, we have a grown daughter, Ruth, who's, 34, and she's married to David Exley, and they have 2 boys, and all 4 of them are living in our house right now because they sold their house quite some time ago, like I'm guessing 9 months ago. Mm-hmm. And they bought another house, got the keys. They're having some work done, but they've lived with us now for about 4 months, and they've lived with David's parents for about 4 months as well.
Mm-hmm.
And so they're ready to move on. I know they are. But it's been quite a journey and quite a lot of fun having them live with us.
Yeah.
And then I have another daughter. Her name is Nazi. Her given name is Nasib Hassan. And Cynthia and I fell in love with Nazi and her mother Nasro Adad about 20 years ago. I volunteered at a homeless shelter at the Reedwood Friends Church in Southeast Portland.
Mm-hmm.
I was one of the organizers, managers of the shelter, and it was my night to stay overnight there, and Nazi and Nasro were recent arrivals, refugees from Somalia.
Somalia?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They'd been in a refugee camp in Kenya, and Nazi was about a year old, and she's, I hope I got it right, she's 21 now, and I just saw her today. She has a room in our house. She doesn't stay with us all the time, and right now she's a student at Southern Oregon University.
Mm-hmm.
So I call her my daughter. She calls me dad. She has 2 moms. So she's a part of our lives too.
Uh-huh. So much for grandchildren. And your political persuasion on the political continuum, are you left or right or center or what? I know you're a Trump supporter, I can tell.
No. No, thanks.
Uh-huh.
Pretty liberal.
Yeah.
Pretty liberal.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how far we want to go with that, but
As far as you want to go.
Yeah. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty worried about our country. I'm worried about things that are happening. I'm worried about hatred and intolerance and
Global warming, is that a concern of yours?
yeah, that too. Global warming is a big concern. Immigration policy, which is really hard for me personally. Especially coming from a Christian perspective,
Yes.
Christ was a refugee or was an immigrant,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that's what we're called to do, is to minister and care for each other.
Of course.
And part of that, of course, has to do with our perspective on immigration.
How about your wife's nationality? Is that okay to talk about?
Yeah. My wife is Lebanese,
Uh-huh.
and you know this because we've talked a little bit.
But the viewers don't know it.
Yeah. Well, I might come back and talk some more. We went to Lebanon recently and Palestine as well.
Oh, wow.
For a trip. First time Cynthia has been to Lebanon, and me too. So that was really fun, and just a great trip. We loved it. We rented a car. We stayed in Beirut, and rented a car and drove all over the country. Didn't go away down south.
Of course.
Probably not a good idea.
No.
But and then we went to Palestine and went on a Palestinian bicycle trip in the West Bank.
You really lived over there.
Yeah, we lived it up. That was really fun too, and really educational we want to go back to both places.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So memberships in political, social, or civic organizations, do you have any kind of memberships that you want to mention for the viewers? Some people belong to some and some to none. None comes to mind for them.
No, not anything in particular that I think is particularly useful here.
Okay. All right, last question for you. Thinking back over the years, are there any people, human beings, that you particularly admire or look up to, or even alive today? Any names come to mind, male or female, whatever? Give me a couple names if they come to mind for you.
Okay. Well, my wife has influenced me a lot.
Yes.
Let's see.
Why has she influenced you?
That's a really good question. When we met, I had a Christian background, really conservative and fundamentalist and kind of rigid thinking, and Cynthia was more, maybe the tag unchurched fits, although she had exposure when she was younger in the Syrian Orthodox Church.
Mm-hmm.
But we are together, and I have learned a lot from her, especially earlier on in our relationship. I could see how much she cared about other people, much like what we've been talking about here right now.
Mm-hmm.
I think the genesis in a lot of that, for me, came from her.
When did you marry her?
Where?
When did you marry her?
1981.
Uh-huh.
And
You had some years together.
yeah, we have. So she influenced me a lot. And I think I've influenced her a lot too. She's a Christian, and that probably has a lot to do with me. But I learned a lot about Christianity from her,
Mm-hmm.
even though it wasn't really identified as that when we met. You know, it was just who she was.
Any other names come to mind? People from history.
Oh, okay. Martin Luther King. Yeah.
Why?
Oh, because he, of his dedication, wisdom, tenacity, and adherence to a direction, and even when it might have seemed like he reached a certain place, which not really. He was talking about other kinds of things like economic justice.
Yes.
And other sort of issues and causes related to racial equality that at that point in time weren't even on the menu.
Yeah.
But they are now.
He's one of my heroes too.
Good.
So let's stop at this point in time and take a little break so we can come back and talk about Club Impact after the break.
Billy.
Yeah. Okay, we're back. Thanks for staying tuned. And for you viewers who missed the opening of the show, Conversations with Dr. Don is an ongoing series of 1-hour standalone talk shows where I interview interesting people like most of you out there about who they are as unique, one-of-a-kind individuals, and about whatever it is we've decided to talk about. And tonight, and my guest this evening is RalprGilliam. I learned
Very
how to pronounce
good.
that
You
name.
got
Yeah,
the
yeah.
pronunciation right.
And the title of the show is Club Impact, a social club for adults with disabilities. And that intrigued me, a social club for adults with disabilities. There's all
Yeah.
sorts of government programs and organizations, all that kind of stuff. But it seems like there's something missing here. This should be a broader impact. And
Which, missing with Club Impact or with the other stuff?
in the society and the culture in America,
Okay.
addressing those people with difficulties.
Yeah.
And it's like it comes out of the blue from someplace, and some different organizations on their own have decided to address this social issue.
Yeah.
That's what I mean.
Uh-huh.
So anyhow, this sign behind you says something about what we're going to be talking about in the second half of the show.
Uh-huh.
Club Impact, you're going to get a focus on that, Mr. Cameraman. Yeah. And we know who you are, RalprGilliam. And somewhere along the line, we'll have phone numbers and all those kinds of things for you to make some contacts that you may want to make. Okay. Now,
Okay.
I'm going to start with the questions.
Okay.
I asked you for some prompting questions
Yeah.
so that it'll be easier for me to start the conversation with you, because now I know where you're coming from with the questions here. What is Club Impact?
Okay.
A few words about it. Then I'm going to ask you about Portland Impact, and then the Impact Northwest.
Yeah. All right. What is Club Impact? Club Impact is a social club
Okay.
for adults with disabilities. And yeah, it's a social club anybody can come to with. You mentioned government programs or organizational programs. This is kind of unorganizational in a sense, because Club Impact is all volunteers. We don't have a budget with an organization.
I'm interrupting you. What do you mean by disabilities?
Okay. Well, anything fits. Anybody, we don't, okay, if you're going to get services in a school because you have a disability, there's certain criteria, and you would have to be able to get a doctor to say that you meet the criteria for whatever, autism, speech and language disability, intellectual disability, whatever it is.
Whatever.
And there's specific spelled out criteria. We really don't care about that. This is much more relaxed. People that come to Club Impact, when new people come in, sometimes I can't tell if they're people with disabilities or not. So I say, okay, all right. Are you a person with a disability? Mm-hmm. All right, well, welcome. I'm glad you're here. And there might be some other people that are visiting that don't have disabilities. But anyway, there's no qualifiers here. So what is Club Impact? It's a social club for adults with disabilities, and we meet every Monday night. They're there right now. Like I told you, when I was, you said, well, you have to come on a Monday night, Ralph. I almost said, well, no, I can't. I do Club Impact. So it's pretty hard for me not to be there, because I like being there. So anyway, we meet almost every week, all year round, and then on Monday nights, and we do different things on Monday nights. Tonight is birthday night. There'll probably be 80, 90 people there, and About 60 of those will have disabilities.
And where's the physical location?
It's on Southeast Belmont.
Mm-hmm.
What is it? 4611 Southeast Belmont Street.
Mm-hmm.
In a county building owned by the county, right next to Horse Brass Pub. Oh yeah, now I know where it is. Why didn't you say so? So it's right next door to Horse Brass Pub, and it's called Tabor Square. And inside Tabor Square are different functions. Multnomah County owns the building, and there's different tenants in there. One of them is Impact Northwest. One of their satellite locations. They have a few locations. There's other people in there too, including Loaves and Fishes / Meals on Wheels. And that's where Club Impact meets, is in a dining room that's used during the day by Loaves and Fishes. So it's a pretty cool place. You go in the doors and it looks kind of like a restaurant. There's all these round tables and rectangular tables, and people are just kind of spread around in different areas there. And depending on which Monday it is, like tonight, there's birthday celebration. Though we'll sing happy birthday to whoever has a birthday in the month of July. They'll be doing board games and maybe karaoke over in the corner someplace. There's probably going to be a volunteer disc jockey towards the other end of the room playing music that they brought. And we have a ping pong table, and that's probably going to be set up.
And a social gathering where these people have like interests or like abilities.
And the thing that you would see if you were there, more than actually the event, like ping pong or a birthday thing, is what you will see is people that know each other and care about each other.
Mm-hmm.
It's very obvious. And that makes my heart feel good, because that's really what it's all about, is relationships. And so there's a lot of that going on. And it's hard for new people at first, because they, imagine, if you went there, come on, Don, let's go to this social club. You don't know anybody, and there's 60 people in the room. So what are you going to do? So, it's kind of hard to get started.
Sure.
But that's the goal, is to integrate new people and help them feel welcome.
Feeling welcome.
Yeah. And a lot of that is made easier because if somebody new comes in, somebody with a disability, and they look across, they're talking to somebody like me, saying, "Oh, what's your name?" and all that kind of stuff. They look across the room and they see somebody that they know. That's half the battle. Yeah, it's like, okay, all right. But it doesn't always work like that. All right, so we have the Monday night thing almost every week, and then throughout the year we have other special events, such as, last month was Oak Park Day.
Mm-hmm.
We just had our 10th one. It's a big barbecue potluck hamburger thing, and the club provides at a reduced price ride bracelets so that they can go out on rides.
Oaks Park is a big park in Portland.
Yeah, have you ever been there?
Oh, yes.
Okay, yeah, amusement park.
It occurs to me right now, it seems like you've done a lot of work here in preparing how Club Impact started.
Yeah.
And seems like...
I'm jumping around here a little bit.
Because I'm asking you goofy questions all over the place here.
Oh, okay.
But let's talk about what you said to me about the starting of it.
Okay.
I first got to know Portland Impact about 1987.
Yeah.
One of several shelter coordinators. Pick it up from there.
Okay. Well, you remember I told you about Nazi,
Yeah?
my daughter.
Yeah?
She's not really my daughter, but she is. She's not in any legal way. Nazi was in with her mother at the shelter in Quaker Church, and I was there. We had a partnership with Portland Impact,
Mm-hmm.
and they were the social agency that case managed all of the homeless families that, not that it was a big shelter, kind of small. They managed the families that came through the shelter. So I got to know them way back then, like 30 years ago.
Uh-huh.
And then the lifespan of that shelter was about 15 years. And then I had some other involvement with, they changed the name from Portland Impact to Impact Northwest.
Impact Northwest.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
they changed the name because they started doing stuff in Vancouver. So Portland Impact doesn't work anymore.
Yes.
So anyway, other projects, other involvements. I was on different committees there and so on. So I maintained a relationship with them up until today. So when I retired and wanted to start Club Impact, I just went over and made an appointment with the director, Susan Stoltenberg, and told her what I wanted to do, and she says, "Okay, well, we'll help you get started." So, yeah, isn't that cool? Yeah, so they've been the partner ever since. Maybe I should tell you what they do provide.
Yes.
For us.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
The place to meet. No cash, no salaries, no.
You're just a volunteer.
Yeah, they provide a place for us to meet. Liability insurance. They recruit and do background checks on volunteers for us. A lot of goodwill kind of stuff. You know, we communicate with them a lot. Let's see, what else do they do for us? We can use their vans. They have a relationship with Ride Connection. You'll see their vans around town. They look like the smaller TriMet vans that you see, you know.
So those are Club Impact vans.
Well, they're Ride Connection vans, and Ride Connection has an agreement or a relationship with Impact Northwest
Uh-huh.
that Impact Northwest can use those vans, and then Impact Northwest in turn lets Club Impact use the vans because we're a program of Impact Northwest.
Wow, the tentacles.
Yeah, so there's definitely some benefit there.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, they're pretty good to us.
Yeah. So, yeah. So then about 2010 is when Club Impact was formally started.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I sent letters out to all my past students.
So you started Club Impact.
Yeah. Yeah,
Wow.
I sent out letters and told them to come on over to Tabor Square,
Mm-hmm.
you know, on such and such a night, and we would talk about the social club. And that happened. I have at least one volunteer that was with me from that first night, and a handful of participants that were my former students, maybe 5 or 6. The rest of them are all new,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and it's constant revolving kind of thing. And let me talk about that. How does that work? How does it grow, and so on. There's a lot of word of mouth communication.
Mm-hmm.
And a big part of that is some of the participants come with care providers. If you have a disability and you leave the school system, all of a sudden if you qualify with your disability, again, I don't care if they do or not, but a lot of them do.
Mm-hmm.
They qualify to get federal money through Medicaid, and that comes in through Multnomah County and is managed by Multnomah County Developmental Disability Services. And so they get money that can be spent on what I'm calling providers to help them with certain goals.
And them as volunteers like yourself who provide.
No, they're not. They get paid.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, with this money that I'm talking about.
Okay.
So a participant or a client with the disabilities has a meeting with somebody connected with Multnomah County, and they come up with goals. They have a meeting, well, I need help finding a place to live. I need help getting a job. My social life stinks. I need some friends. I'm lonely. So we get providers that bring their clients to Club Impact and help them develop social skills. A lot less than half of the people with disabilities that come to Club have providers, but there's still a fair number.
Sure.
Yeah, so on a given Monday night, there might be 20 care providers there that are getting paid. They're getting paid. I'm not. What happened there?
Started it.
Yeah, wait a minute. What's missing there? So so they come with their clients, and there's a lot of communication going on through those channels. The providers know each other, and every week there'll be new people coming that we've never seen before. How did you find out about Club Impact? Oh, well, I know this person, that person, and it's just a word of mouth kind of thing.
So it says there are annoying and precious things that happen at Club Impact every week.
Yeah.
The humor is nonstop.
Yeah.
Humor is nonstop?
Yeah. There's a lot of funny stuff. Right. So while I'm trying to have a conversation about getting paperwork back from this person and that person and that person, and I'm having a conversation with my coworker, volunteer, there's a participant that comes over, and he's got his guitar in his hand, and he wants to sing Buddy Holly song, so he'll just start singing, and okay, all right, we'll have a seat, and there's stuff like that a lot, and just a lot of funny things happen, and people. Well, we have a PA system, and maybe we'll have a short meeting where I'll do announcements and stuff. Invariably, somebody will, Ralph, I have an announcement. Okay, come on, get up here. What is it? And you never know what you're going to get. You never know what you're going to get. Yeah, but it's okay. It's all just part of the deal.
So let me look at, the time is running short.
Okay. Now you
look
better
at
get
a
out
couple
those
of these
questions.
questions, yeah.
Okay.
The Club Impact has rules for participants, huh?
Oh, yeah. Can I talk about that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, when I was a teacher, I did that. When in the transition program, I okay, it's your first day here. Do you guys think we should have rules? No. Why should we have rules? Oh, so do you think it would be all right if when you were talking to the group, if other people interrupted you all the time, that'd be okay? No. Oh, okay. Well, then there's a chance for a rule, and so on and so on. And and we do the same thing at Club Impact. I don't think we have a rule about interrupting, but there's a lot of areas and things that have happened and things that have come up where we've felt like we really needed to address those issues as a group. Drama is one of those. Here you have population, maybe the average mental age is somewhere, could be middle school. Or it may, and it's really hard to say that because you get some people that are way higher than that and you get others that are lower than that. But if I was going to pick an average, it maybe would be middle school.
But there are disabilities that are common among those attendees.
Yeah. So my wife used to be a middle school principal. She can tell you about drama in middle school. She can tell you, and anybody that's been a teacher in middle school, drama, especially regarding relationships. So we're talking about young men and women with disabilities that want to be doing dating and having relationships with each other, and maybe they're not the most immature folks. Some of them are, and some of them are not. And so we're going to see some behaviors there that we need to address.
So there's got to be some rules, but we got a couple more questions before we sign off.
Okay.
Can anyone come to Club Impact? Anyone?
Yeah. We kind of talked about that already. People with disabilities can come, and we're not going to be fussy about exactly how disabled are you? Are you really qualified or not? It doesn't really matter. But we're always open to having visitors there.
Okay.
Other folks that don't have disabilities, especially care providers, parents, and so on. When new people come, participants, and they don't know anybody, if they don't have a provider that comes with them, a parent would be really good to have there for a while to help them feel comfortable until they get used to the place. So we're open to that. We don't want to have kids there. We minimally allow people younger than 18 to come.
Do you need more volunteers?
Yeah, we do.
Okay.
We do. If you want to volunteer, you can go to the website and there's information there that would help you figure out how to volunteer. Yeah. I want to tell you, I don't know how much time we have left. Can I tell?
We have a minute or so.
Okay. I want to tell you about one or two events that are just the best. One of them is called Drop-In Night. Oh, wait a minute. That's not it. Wrap It Up Night. Drop-In Night is just any Monday night. Wrap It Up Night happens once a year, about 3 or 4 weeks before Christmas. What we do is we collect a whole big pile of regifted items, giveaway items, donations, stuff just comes, and we
once a year.
Yeah, on Wrap It Up Night, all that stuff is put out on tables. When participants come in, they sign in and they get a number, and then on the microphone, they're numbers 12 through 16 come up to the table. They're not getting stuff for themselves. They're Christmas shopping for people on their list. So after they pick out...
How wonderful.
And they get coached or help if they need it from a provider or a volunteer or somebody, have you gotten something for your mother yet? What do you think you want to get her? That kind of thing. So they pick out stuff. Then they go down to another table. We've got 8 or 10 people to help wrap.
Mm-hmm.
So they're wrapping them up and putting tags on them. That all happens in one night, and there's probably 60 people getting the gifts, and each one is getting 5 gifts. So that's a lot of stuff.
It works well. So it's time to sign off.
Oh, that's no fair.
So I want you to look at that camera and say
Okay.
something to the viewers. Anything comes to mind about what we talked about tonight, or anything else?
All right. I'd love to see you come and visit Club Impact. It would be wonderful. You're welcome to come. You don't have to call ahead or do anything like that. If you want more information, you can
There's a phone number.
email me. Well, I didn't put my phone number on there, but you can email me at that email address, and of course you can go online and look at our website and learn a lot more about it too.
All right. Thank you
Yeah,
for coming
thank
on.
It's fun.
Well, we've made it through another evening of fun and enjoyment. So thanks for watching. And remember KFC, not Kentucky Fried Chicken, Dr. Don's KFC. Kind, friendly, and charitable. Be kind, be friendly, and be charitable to you too, and you too, and you too, nurse. We'll see you next time. Thank you for tuning in. Good night.